you with your
Well,
philosophy?
my son gave it to me in 2014 so way late in my journey, but I was at a particular point in my journey where he gave it to me at the late stage, the stage I'm now at. He described returning the boon. And returning the boon is the stage where, you learned a lot. And some people learn a lot and then they go to retirement. And he was making the point that when you learn a lot, you pass along that to others. And he described it very vividly. Like, I don't like public attention. I don't like all of that. But he described it as, at that last stage, how important it is to pass along what you learn. And he described it as a difficult process. And then when you do that, so that others are successful without you, then you get to a stage where you're free to live and free to die because you don't have that obligation. So that's where he caught me. But if you read the book, it's very interesting. Or in my book, I recounted in a few pages what the hero's journey is. And you start to think about, where am I on this path? The hero's journey, just if you probably don't know the book, Hero of a Thousand Faces is the book, Joseph Campbell. What he did is he went through history and myths and so on. He says there's a certain type of person who has a taste for adventure and goes in through that, and then has their battles and they have the wins and losses, and then then the mission becomes important, and others become more important than themselves, and they rise. We can call that spirituality, whatever that is, but it is the basis of Star Wars. It was the basis of, anyway, that his book was. So it's that notion of that journey. And it's a good book. In my case, I happened to read it at that particular spot, but anybody referring to it probably would find, oh, that's me there. One of the biggest things was the abyss. What is your abyss? There will come a time that you are going to have a terrible situation and you're going to, miserable. And how you reflect on that situation, and whether you have a metamorphosis, a change, a personal change. Me, in my case, happened in 1982. I was dead wrong, and publicly dead wrong in the markets. I don't know if I take the time to tell you the story, but okay.
You have the floor.
Oh yeah, so I formed Bridgewater in 1975, and I had a small company, and I analyzed, and I had done calculations that American banks had lent to emerging countries a lot more money than those countries were going to be able to pay back. And as a result, we were going to have debt defaults and a debt crisis. And that was a very, very, very controversial point of view. And it turned out in that regard to be right. Mexico defaulted in August 1982, and I thought we were going to have an economic collapse. So I received a lot of attention. I was asked to testify at Congress to explain the situation. I went on Wall Street Week, which was a show of the time, and I believed that we were going to have this economic collapse. That was the exact bottom of the stock market. Exact bottom of the stock market. I could not have been more wrong. Not only was I more wrong, I lost money. I lost money from me. I lost money from my clients. I was so broke that I had to borrow $4,000 from my dad to help to take care of my family. It was a very, very painful mistake. But with reflection, I would say it was one of the best things that happened to me, because it shifted my mindset from thinking I'm right to asking myself, how do I know I'm right? It gave me the humility that I needed to balance with my audacity. It changed my approach. I had a metamorphosis. And so, and each person is going to have their own particular challenge that way. And so what I'm saying is, like in Joseph Campbell, that abyss, he describes that experience as you're in the abyss. And then do you have the metamorphosis? And that metamorphosis is kind of like a humility and a worry that you might not get it right, and how do you get the best triangulation? That's motivated the idea of meritocracy, bringing the best independent thinkers to work together. So that's what that's like. So anyway, it's a good book.
Excellent.